Welcome to Whack-A-Space, where you are going to be learning all about the Discover library, where we're able to learn how we can customize prompts, preview interactive spaces, and think about how we can customize those spaces as well. When it comes to student spaces, we are going to be focusing in on how do we create a space. This can support common instructional activities that we're able to make right from scratch. We're going to learn how we can customize prompts to really match our students' needs, levels, and interests. Then we can talk about how we can preview, revise spaces as needed, and then we're going to navigate mission control data to see how our students are doing. What I would love for you to do is I would love for you to pause the video for a few moments and join this space. In this space, this is Sidekick, where you are going to just ask a couple questions about how can I use the Discover library? So again, I just want you to take a few moments to think about how can I use the Discover library? Right here is the code. You can either scan this QR code with your phone. You can type in these 6 digits by going to SchoolAI.com. So if you go to SchoolAI.com, right here where it says space code, you're able to type in these 8 digits right here. Feel free to also go to this link. I'll put the link in the YouTube description so that way you have access to the link as well. But in Sidekick, again, I just want you to pause the video for about a couple minutes. And in those moments, I want you to really consider how can I use the Discover library at your grade level? Think about space ideas. Ask about prompting. Kind of just take a moment and ask some questions when it comes to using SchoolAI. This will give you a feel of the student experience here in SchoolAI. Welcome back. Now that you've had a moment to kind of dive into Sidekick and ask those questions, Sidekick will also be your guide on the side. If you ever get stuck or have questions or wonder anything, feel free to type your question into Sidekick and you'll be able to see those answers. During today's session, we're really going to be focusing on those spaces. You were just in a space. Sidekick is one of our spaces. This is an interactive learning experience where students had a side-by-side tutor, Sidekick, there to support them as they're going through the content. As you're going through the Discover library, as we're talking about space ideas and prompting for feedback, you can use Sidekick to get questions to your commonly known questions where maybe I am not available to answer those right away for you. That is a space where we can have flexible learning for our students. We're also able to see that it created that personalized learning. It answered your questions, not your neighbor's questions, but your questions that you had. Also, with SchoolAI Spaces, we're able to build connection, curiosity, and collaboration. A lot of times when I'm using a SchoolAI space, I love to use it as a think, pair, share, where students think with the SchoolAI, then they will pair up with a partner, and then I can use their information from mission control to really see their data come alive. This is a great way to see how students are doing when it comes to their learning. Now we're going to discover some common activities that we can quickly use when it comes to the Discover library. We're able to check our students' understanding. We're also able to build background knowledge, engage in curiosity, and build relevance. And so when we're thinking about students and engaging their learning, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hop to SchoolAI.com. From here, I'm going to go ahead and sign in. Once I'm signed in, we're going to go up here to Spaces. Discover is the first option where we're going to explore today. When I click on Discover, we're going to see recently viewed. These are spaces that I've recently have viewed or created. Down here where it says Everyday Spaces, this is where we're going to first start. You are in a Sidekick. This again is that tutor, that question on the side that can help guide you through a lesson. There's a bell ringer, exit ticket, video explorer, choose your own adventure, and even a historical figure chatbot. If you want to view more everyday spaces that you can quickly reuse in your classroom, you can also see additional ones by clicking on that arrow. These everyday spaces are great for your students as they're engaging with the content. Let's go ahead and let's see how we can create a sidekick. So right here, I click on the sidekick and I have this feature popping up right here. And it asks, what do I want my students to do in the sidekick? This is asking what kind of support should the sidekick support with your students. This is kind of the main use case or the learning goal that you might have for your students. So for example, my students are learning about touching Spirit Bear, and I really want to have a sidekick available to them so that they know they can go there if they have questions, if they don't know a vocabulary word, if they get stuck. But I'm programming Sidekick so it knows that when my students are in this space asking questions, to answer with those Touching Spirit Bear guidelines. So again, I'm going to help students analyze the characters, themes, symbols in Touching Spirit Bear. We're going to guide them through a reflection question, help them make personal connections, and provide scaffolds for understanding complex vocabulary or events. Once you have your lesson goal there, I always recommend clicking this More Options. From here, we can add our class description, how we want the sidekick to interact with them, and what rules we want to set for this session. So when we're thinking about our class description, what this is asking is, who are our students? We need to describe their grade level. It can help if we add their reading level, any learning needs. This can really help Sidekick kind of cater to your students. So for example, maybe I'm reading this with a group of 8th grade students, right? I'm in ELA class. We're reading Touching Spirit Bear. My students have mixed reading levels. Many are new to, right, literacy analysis. What is it that your students might know? Several students benefit from visual cues, sentence starters, and reflection prompts. After that, we're ready to dive into how would we like Sidekick to interact with them. What this is asking is describe the tone, the style, the teaching approach you want Sidekick to use. This is kind of that gentle guide, or do we want it to be a direct tutor? So when you're thinking about the space, how do we want it to act? And so for example, for our Touching Spirit Bear one, we can use supportive and reflective tone. I wanted to ask open-ended questions about character growth and choices. Offer sentence stems, right, to help my students. The more details you provide, the better outputs you're going to get. From here, I can go in and I can think about that last part where it talks about those rules for the section. This is a great way to support students and think about those boundaries that we should have in place. What should it not do, right? And so when I come in here, I want it to not give full answers or summaries of the book. I want to ask students to think and respond with evidence if they get stuck. I want to offer hints or guided questions when they get off topic, redirect them. So again, these are kind of those boundaries that we have in place. Once I have this all set, you can preview this as a teacher. This will allow you to see what your students see. I can see here that it says, hi, welcome, ready to talk Touching Spirit Bear? Tell me which scene or character do you want to explore? And then I can kind of say, I think Cool changed because he went to the woods, right? And we can go through, have that conversation with Sidekick, and I'm able to get that feedback right away as we're diving in. What evidence, right? It's pushing me to provide that evidence from the book. Again, sidekicks can be great tutors. They can be a great way to support students. You can also create a quick activity just like this. Once you're all set, you're able to launch this sidekick, and then you can share with your students either by the LMS, so your learning management system, or by sharing a code, QR code, or a link. Once your students join that link, you're going to be able to see them right in Mission Control, where I can see how my students are doing in the moment as they're working through this space. So as my students are working in this space, I'm going to be able to see different names popping up in this space to really see how my students are doing. As they're interacting with the sidekick, I can kind of see how they're responding, what moments in the book stuck out to them. And I can do quick checks to kind of see what information my students have as well. So again, those are great resources. You can also add a tag so you know what sidekick this is. So I'm going to do Touching Spirit Bear. And I'm going to go back into Spaces. From here, we're going to click Discover. And again, that was a sidekick. That is a great way for you to kind of monitor your students. If they have questions or need help, you can use a common activity just like Sidekick to really help guide you as you're working through that space. There's even bell ringers or exit tickets if you're looking for quick, less than 5-minute activities to check student understanding. You can also add in a video and it will have pause points where students can chat with a dot as they're working through that video. There's even a historical figure where they can chat with anybody from history, maybe Abraham Lincoln. As you're exploring the everyday tools, go ahead and give it a shot. Try one of those quick activities. Think about your classroom description. What do you want Sidekick to do? What are those learning goals? Also consider, how do you want the Sidekick to interact with them? What is the tone like? What is the style? What is the teaching approach you really want to use? Also think about those rules or guidelines you have in place as well. Some other activities that are built right into the Discover library are subject area tutors. These are already created and ready to go for you. To find those, again, we're going to go to Spaces, Discover right at the top. This is taking you right into the Discover library. From here, you can see if I scroll down just a little bit, you'll see that I have it under Favorites for Any Ages, Subject Tutors. I'm going to click on this collection. And from here, I can see a bunch of different options for me to click on. I've got a fitness tutor, I have a social studies tutor, technology tutor, science. There's all of these different tutors already created and ready to go. I can come in here and let's go ahead and math. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new session. Again, you can assign this to your learning management system. You can create a link or QR code for your students to join. And in this space, students are going to be able to interact with Dot. They're going to have a math tutor, Geo, for example. And Geo can help them understand math. I can share I'm in 5th grade. Once the student shares their grade level, we're going to be able to go in and have a conversation about what we might need a little bit more help with. Fractions, right? And so as I'm interacting, as I'm kind of going through this space, I can really share those common misconceptions I have when it comes to fractions. I can get practice examples. I can ask, does this mean, right? I don't understand, right? I don't know. And so as we're asking, we have a math tutor side by side, Geo, here to help us explain it, help us break it down, and to help us support our learning. You'll notice there are a bunch of accessibility features built right in. There's a speak where I can listen to it be read aloud. There's also a microphone here where I can use. Students also have the ability to translate the text if they speak another language. And there's also dyslexia-friendly font and easy reader mode. These are great ways to support and accommodate our students' learning as they're exploring SchoolAI spaces. Another activity is our space learning activities. These are activities that can be supporting your learning with maybe reflection, maybe exit tickets, primary source, think, pair, share, adaptive practice, and so much more. And again, these can be found in that Discover library. Spaces, Discover is where you will go. Once you go to your Discover, you're able to search and you can find resources from other educators. You can also see that there's learning activities here, project-based learning, even seasonal activities to support, and even resources by grade level. I'm going to click on Learning Activities. And from here, I can see that there's a quiz and reteach, think, AI, pair, share. There's even a primary source document analyzer. And so again, you can come in and you're able to use these resources to really support your learning and to make your students thinking even stronger and helping them feel more successful when it comes to really thinking about what they're doing and how they're interacting in that space. And so just a reminder, you're able to customize and personalize those spaces. Make sure you click those more options so that you're able to add in that audience description. The instructions, is there a certain skill or focus? Is there a certain length or style? What grade level are your students in? All of our spaces you're able to remix and reuse within your classroom. Then you can go in and you can use another space the next day and quickly go in and change whatever you might need. So again, you'll just click on a space. Once you've got that space, you're able to really kind of customize it to what your students need, whether it is using something, a common activity from the everyday spaces, a tutor, or even those learning activities. Just remember, you're able to click a bell ringer. From here, you add the topic, more options, so you can choose your grade level, custom instructions, class description, and then anything you might want your students to ask. These are great ways for you to really kind of think through, what is it that I want my students to learn more about? And so if maybe our topic, right, let's go ahead and do the water cycle. And so I can come in here and I can say my topic is the water cycle. And so again, what do I want my space to do? What are those custom instructions that I have for my space? I want the space to really help my students understand the stages of the water cycle and how water moves throughout the environment. This is for 7th grade. And I can come in and now I can share a little bit more about my class description. Okay, I can share that, this is for 7th grade students in my science class. They're learning about earth systems. They're building their vocabulary. This sidekick will be used for independent practice time. Then I can say, do I want an SEL check-in? I could add an SEL check-in if I wanted to as well. So again, once I have this all set, you're able to preview this space. And you can see here that it's going to be a quick bell ringer for my students. They're going to have to name one stage that they might know a little bit more about. They can also be like, I don't know, right? And I can see how the space is going to interact if they get it right, or if they get it wrong, or if they say they don't know. Once you're all set, you're ready to launch that space, share either to your learning management system, share by QR code or by link, and then your students will be able to join your mission control data right here. And with mission control data, this is where I'm able to see how my students are doing in the space. This allows me to know, are they getting it? Are they not getting it? We're going to see our participants appear right here once they join into that SchoolAI space. This is going to be really helpful for us as teachers to be able to see those quick entrance tickets and exit tickets as my students are engaging and interacting in that space. I can see here 3 students have joined, and as we're joining this space, what happens to a puddle on a hot day? Again, students can use the accommodations to support their learning. I think it evaporates on a hot day. The water goes up to the clouds. It's going to convert their text right into, convert their words right into text. And now I have another question. And as my students are in this space, I'm going to be able to see how they're doing and those quick insights that are appearing as well. I can see, when students are just getting started. I can see if they're off task. I can see if they maybe say something inappropriate. I'm able to get all of these alerts over here where I can see how my students are doing. Right here, AJ has detected that, he might need a little bit of a check-in. I'm able to see exactly what AJ said right in his chat to be like, okay, what is going on? I can pause him. I can remove the student if I need to. I can also pause the entire chat in the chat, whatever I need to do to support that student. If a student is doing well, I'm going to be able to see that. There's also groups that will group my students too, where I can see who's achieving and who might be struggling. This is a great way to really dive into how my students are doing in that space. So I want you to think about what is one way spaces in the Discover Library can help you enhance and engage learning. I know for me, I'm excited about customizing those spaces to support student learning. I'm also really excited to add in those boundaries and guidelines to really ensure that my students are getting the best learning experience possible by having that AI space to think, Then they can pair with a partner, and then they'll feel more confident to share with their class. So again, we covered today student spaces in the Discover library. We learned how to create a space. We talked about how to customize our prompts, preview and revise, and how to navigate mission control. Can't wait to see how you use spaces in your classroom.